Hi everyone, Darren Hunter here, and I'm with Michael Sands. We are Inspired Growth Training, and today we're going to be coming up with some very unique training, and it's around 10 points of influence. Now, Michael, say hello.
G'day everyone. Thank you for having me, Darren.
Cool. And what we're trying to nail today, Michael, you've done hundreds, maybe thousands, or between us, we've done thousands of secret shopping calls in our time. And right now, IGT, run by your team, is doing secret shopping with agencies that are spread across 4 countries: Australia, New Zealand, United States, and the UK. And you come across one of the questions we ask in each and every phone call when we do secret shopping is, hey, how are you different from the other agency down the road? So I wanted to bring out not just the effective points of difference, Michael, that you've come across and you've been impressed with. I mean, we could go on and on about all the unimpressive ones. There's just so many. So when we come across a really, really good one, it's a standout, but also we're going to give the points of difference and the points of influence that we know also work very effectively. So I guess before we get started again, these are points of influence. They could be a strategy, not necessarily, hey, we do X, Y, and Z. But what we're trying to do here is that, let's just say you're up against 3 other agents. How do you quickly become top of mind, the favorite, the one that the owner wants, and at the exclusion of everyone else? How do we get that top of mind position? How do we use influence and points of difference to become the leading favorite in pole position, the one that they want to sign up with, which means our fees are then relegated to a secondary importance? So we're going to talk about 10 points of difference, 10 points of influence today. Firstly, Michael, let's start with, when we're working up this list together, proof statements. What are they? How do they work?
Proof statements are vital, I guess, for any BDM or person in real estate when they're going after new business, because one thing we identified with the SMR reports, a lot of people saying the exact same thing, but no one is backing it up with evidence. So if you tell owners out there that you collect 98.5% of your rent, or if you rent properties 6 times faster than your competition, prove it. Because until you, as long as it's just words you're saying to someone, that's nothing. It's a myth. It's a legend. But if you can prove it, then they have no reason to doubt you. We would say to our prospective owners, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, here's our arrears report, here's our vacancy report, here's our historic reports. You can see that. And I would challenge you to ask any of the other property managers that you are actually interviewing, can they demonstrate this track record? And I knew that no one else in my marketplace could do that. So having the proof statement is absolutely vital. We spoke about Dennis earlier. We would use the printout from realestate.com. So if you're not confident with your market reports or your system generated reports, go to realestate.com, and in the business insights section there, we would go there and you can select every suburb. So we were in 84 suburbs across 3 states. So we used all that data in there, and it would show your business tracking against your market average competition. And it showed that we had over 172 people look at our properties on average, as opposed to, I think it was about 60 odd people that were looking at our market competitors. So by me showing that to prospective owners, I could identify that we clearly get more people looking at our property, regardless of the value of the rent, more people looking at it, and that meant we had a greater opportunity of renting it faster. The next step we would show them was how fast our properties would rent. And we were renting properties 4 times faster than the market average. So by being able to show the landlords we had more people looking at our properties and we rented properties 4 times faster and we could prove it, there was really no further discussion, Darren.
Yep, I can see that, absolutely. I think one thing that perhaps I could have added into our introduction is that if we are using points of influence, points of difference, which really strike the owner's pain point, and pain point is at that point, they usually got an empty property. So right now, they're really only thinking about 3 things. They want the best tenant, best rent in the quickest or fastest possible time. So if our proof statements or points of influence really nail that one, we're going to be very quickly going front of mind, pole position, the warm favorite, and fees become secondary. So, well done on that, and proof statements are there. But I guess, having said that, also on the flip side, if we're giving points of influence or points of difference, though they really don't care about, and what are some of those classic points of difference that we hear when we're doing the secret shopping, the strategic market reports, Michael? What are some of the points of difference that you hear that they say we are different because it really mean nothing? What are a couple of those?
Yeah, I think largely when you start speaking about how great you are and all the awards that your sales director has achieved, when you start gloating about that, or whether it's a national award that everybody out there gets, or whether you have 155 years of experience in the office, which is a golden one that makes no sense because it could be 150 odd years of bad experience. Also doesn't showcase how advanced you are with technology and so on. We have people that say they're in like a pod system with no explanation about what that is. They other people mention about how they have a property management portal where the tenants can access it 24/7. But again, Darren, these are things that everybody is saying the exact same thing, and I kind of feel for the owners that are calling up. It'd be like a record ringing up the same people, different people. And in fact, we rang someone the other day and we said, what makes you different? And they actually said to us, we do the exact same thing that the other property management companies do.
Yeah, I think I heard that one myself. But again, when it comes down to points of influence, points of difference, they must strike the pain point and be a solution to their pain, their stress, their anxiety. Usually it's surrounding best rent, best tenant in the quickest possible time. So that's where our work, our points of influence, points of difference really need to appeal to. All right, moving on. So we've talked about proof statements as number one. Number two, let's talk about, now this is really the BDM skill. This is about not talking about ourselves, but talking about the client. So let's talk about the connection, the importance of connection, and the importance of finding the need, Michael. Why is that important, and how have you made that work?
Yeah, so one of the things that we did well when we were going to listing appraisals, be it on the phone or in person, was it's not about us. So when we got to the property, we would say to the landlord or even on the phone, if let's say they're living in it, moving out of the property, or they've had it for a while, what do you love about the property? Oh, a lot of them have never been asked that question. And then they'll start telling you why they bought it, what they like about it. And then I would say, so what would you do differently if you're going to be living in the property? Then they'll let me know what they would be doing differently. And then we would say, so what type of tenant would you want for this property? Knowing the things that you would do differently in here, or things how you would have it, what type of tenant would you want in the property? So we find out more about them, why they bought it, the type of ideal tenant that they want. So we can take that in, keep that in mind while we're processing applications. But what we're doing there is we're building an emotional connection between the owner and the property and us. So we're now asking them personalized questions about why they had the property, what they love, what they hate about it, which was important too, what they would do differently. Because if they don't like something about the property, chances are the tenant that you put in there may not like that about the property too. So we identify any of the things that they may not like at the start, but we have that connection there. Once we have that connection, it's not about fees. We then turn it around to, well, thank you for letting us know that. We appreciate you sharing that with us. These are the things we're going to be doing differently to market your property and get you the best possible tenant in the shortest time frame possible at the highest market rent that we can get for you. Right? When you do that as fluent as it is, it's just a masterpiece. It just works really well, and it's beautiful to see. But you'll get building that connection there. Very successful with that maneuver.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, when you're asking those questions, you're showing a genuine interest. The likability factor goes right up. The trust factor goes up. And of course, once we got maximized trust, we're the ones that are going to get the business, because real estate is all about people. It's all about trust.
And it's not about us. It's not about how many awards you win. I mean, Darren, I don't think I won any awards because I never entered any of the awards. So I could never use that as, in fact, I didn't even know you had to enter the awards to qualify to win them. Right? I just thought that, I just keep doing what I'm doing, but people actually entered into an award. And that's why when people say I have all these awards, which is great, but they've entered them. So it's a good point of difference, or it's something for them, but it's not going to win the business so much. How are you going to solve the owner's problem?
Yep. Okay, well, let's move on. So we've talked about proof statements. We've talked about connecting and finding the need, and certainly do that through open questions as well. The next one is using video, Michael. We're very much about video. We know that the whole world has moved to video media, more so than, you know, the written word and all those sorts of things. So, Michael, how do videos and can we use videos to influence and differentiate?
100% videos are very, very important. In fact, majority of internet searches promote video and push video. We see when we do these reports, we see a lot of agencies that struggle with the video. They're either scared to get in front of the camera or whatever reason, they're just not producing any content like that, which means they have no social media, or if they do, it's terrible social media because it's not engaging. We have found agents that do well have a systematic, fluent video library, and that would be like educational videos. So if owners wherever around the world, but more so locally in the area, how do you change a light bulb? What's the best way to find a mechanic or a house repair, or, you know, whatever it is? Having strategic videos there that also help with the SEO, they come up in searches. When people have ad hoc videos, so for example, a good example of this is when you've got sales agencies combined with property management companies. Sales agencies will dominate the video thread typically. And when you're trying to promote property management and you send them through to YouTube, they may not find your videos that you're promoting and that they're looking for. One way you can help clear this up is by having it on your website, but still people go to Google and they type in the question and that's where the video comes up. Change your YouTube to have a clean header image, a clean logo. Put tiles on the videos so your YouTube channel looks fluent and consistent. When people go to Google and type in property management company near me, and they get the 10 people coming up on Google Maps and the reviews there, and they go to click on them, and then they see the videos also come up in the most prominent and dominant agencies. If you've got the reviews, you present well online, you've got the videos there, this is all part of that proof statement going into trust. And when they know you, they like you, they trust you, they'll do business with you. So having videos is very, very important, and clean, fluent ones.
So when you say a series, what could be an example of a series?
Yeah, no, good question there. So we like seeing educational how-to videos, which Darren, you had some hand guides that we'll touch on. We turned your booklet basically into series of videos. So what we expect, so we'd aim at tenants too. One of our big points of difference was we would show the owners like our video library, our handbooks on what we give to the tenants, but how to market updates. So when owners can go and see on your online presence, you have market updates throughout there. They can see that you know what you're talking about. Like I said, the educational ones, we did weather related ones. We're in Melbourne, so we would have hot and cold and wet. So we made sure that we had videos around that. Property walkthrough videos, so people can see the type of properties that there are for rent, and you use those links on realestate.com and all those back-end portals also. And then some behind the scenes stuff too. Your video library doesn't have to be so formal.
So it has to be really surrounding all of those educational videos, how-to videos, expert videos, surrounding all the typical things and questions that would be around getting the best rent, the best tenant in the quickest possible time. I think it's all connecting into that big theme.
Yep, correct. Yeah, again, like you nailed it before. Owners want to know how they're going to get the best outcome as fast as possible. And if you can clearly demonstrate to them this is how you're going to do that, they're going to listen to you.
If they see that you're appealing to their need, you understand what they are most concerned about, and you can then provide them a solution through educational videos or a series of videos, as Michael have said, suddenly now they believe you're the expert. And here's what happens. Psychologically, they get impacted and they think, okay, I've got a problem. They're thinking this subconsciously, I've got a problem. I need to give it to the person that's going to give me the fastest and most rapid peace of mind. And therefore, they will then naturally gravitate towards and drift towards the person that right now is top of mind, has the most trust, not the second best trust or the fifth best trust. They want to go to who they think is the number one expert. in their mind, which of course is the marketplace. So this is how educational videos work. Well done. So we've talked about proof statements, Michael. We've talked about connection and finding the need. We've talked about video series. Now let's talk about the handbooks. And so just as a bit of a start here, I first come across the handbook concept in 2003. I met a guy called Gene Bennett from Florida. And Gene, we call the lean, mean, fee machine. He's really the guy that got me first started on the idea of making more as opposed to not managing more. And he also had what he had called was a property owner's handbook. And the handbook was simply a user guide on how he operates. So when someone signs up with him, he can show them the handbook. This is a user manual, Mr. Smith. I'll refer you to page 31 when it comes to repairs, and page 25 about your statements. And I caught on to that idea there. Now, I didn't use his handbook because it was very American, but I came away thinking, all right, let's create a property owner's handbook here. So we created one with section number 1, which is commonly asked questions. Then we did section number 2, which is quotations out of legislation. Section number 3, which is really a list of the owner, the checklist for the owner to get the property ready for tenant, which is really a tenant checklist changed and tweaked for an owner. And the 4th part was customer service standards and our guarantee. And I created this handbook, and we found leverage by when we met with owners, we would say, Mr. Smith, and we would place into their hand, this is our property owner's handbook and how we operate. Here, let me give it to you. And then they take it, and then you step them through. Okay, if you have any commonly asked questions regarding this, around fair wear and tear, around landlord insurance, around pest control, around all these sorts of things, you'll find the answers in here. And then I take them to section 2 and say, Mr. Smith, we have a rule book. And the rule book, whether you like it or not, whether you know about it or not, we've got to abide by. It's called the Residential Tenancies Act. And this is what the Act says about repairs and maintenance. And this is what the Act says about fair wear and tear and so forth. Then section 3 and section 3. And before the end of my discussion, because all through this, Michael, the owner's got the handbook in his hand. And look, Mr. Smith, regretfully, I'm a bit embarrassed. I need to ask for it back. I can only leave it with clients that sign up with us. So we then stepping into, out of that book, Influence, Michael, Dr. Robert Cialdini, where it talks about the law of scarcity, that people always want what they can't have. So then we would ask for the handbook back. And now, of course, they wanted even more. They're really emotionally attached to it when it's explained right. So that led to the invention of the property owner's handbook. And then I think, well, I'll come up with a tenant handbook. And then I came up with a tradesperson's handbook. So Michael, we connected way back when in a previous life at an event where I think you purchased these handbooks for your business. How did you go and use these handbooks as a point of influence for you?
I absolutely loved these handbooks, and I would suggest anyone out there, not wanting to do a plug, but anyone out there that's looking for some handbooks to 10x what they're doing, contact Darren. We use these handbooks part of our listing presentation, but what we did, we gave people the contents pages, because there was 2 pages of contents. We printed it up to what we needed for our business, and we would show the landlords. We gave them the contents for the landlord, the tenant, and the tradesperson, so they could see, and we went through them very clearly. We also showed them when we were with them, we printed off the booklet and we went out there and we would show, this is the information we give our owners and our tenants on how to clean the property. So the owners, how to prepare your property, how to understand the maintenance, how to know exactly what we're doing with your property, and with hello, Lucia. I love you. So we want to talk about
bonus for our training. So
added bonus. So everyone, this is Lucia, and she wants to go into the spa. Yes, honey bunny. I can't hear you. But afterwards, honey. After.
Will it take long?
No. You have to behave.
Well, it's ready.
Oh, it's ready. Okay. Well, after I finish work, we can go in the spa.
Just you and me?
Yep, sure.
Not Rosalia.
Well, whatever you want.
I just want me.
Okay, whatever you want. Actually, get down.
I just want you and me.
Okay, Daddy's recording right now. I love you. Thank you.
Daddy?
Yes, honey. Yes, you can, honey. Thank you. That's enough. Thank you. So,
Where were we?
So yeah, back to the hand guides.
Yes.
So we actually gave the owners, when we presented with them, we showed them our booklet. And then when we would send them out information, like in our pre-listing information, we'll talk about later, we gave them the contents pages so they could see exactly what we're going to be covering. Owners loved the fact that we had a hand guide that tradespeople had to sign. One of owners' biggest fears is that you have your own tradespeople that you use, and they're going to charge through the roof. And they're always wanting to, a lot of the owners kind of want to make sure they're getting the best deal possible. We solved that problem by getting the tradespeople to sign the agreement, and we showed the owners and gave them total comfort that we had a system in place to manage tradespeople. Darren, most agencies that we call don't have anything like that whatsoever.
Nothing. I think we just show and say to the owner, look, this is the tenant handbook. This is the tradesperson's handbook. This is the level and depth that we go to when we induct and the information we supply. And of course, that's what happens when you sign your property with us. And it just, again, announces you as the clear winner because people want to go with who they trust the most. I'm an absolute believer, Michael. Most people in the developed world, we're part of the developed world. There are several countries that we work in. We call it the developed world. Most owners, property owners, are motivated with who they trust the most, and secondary is fee. There is a very small portion of owners where it's the other way around. They're more motivated by fee than the trust or the peace of mind. So that's why we, that's why we promote and preach what we do. Because most owners want trust. Okay, we provide that to them. Okay, so we talked about proof statements. We talked about connection, finding the need. We talked about videos, and we've talked about the handbooks. Now, let's talk about knowledge in the market. Now, this is not a point of difference where someone says, why are you different? Well, I'm knowledgeable in the market. We're not promoting it that way. So this is really a point of influence. How does our knowledge in the market and using it give us leverage to get us to pole position?
I think before owners may have actually made the phone call to ring you, they would have been on realestate.com, domain, rent.com, and so on, looking at what properties are renting for, and also historical information there too. When they call you and ask you for help and guidance, they're looking to you as that market expert. When you're able to let them know what 1 Smith Street went for and like how their property is, on 10 Smith Street and how it compares to all the other properties out there, because again, they want to know how does the market relate to their property? How's it going to affect them? So knowing, all the other 2 or 3 bedrooms or whatever the comparable properties are in the marketplace, what the average rents are, when the best time of the year is to rent property, what type of tenants are typically, like for example, people on contract work are typically looking around January and June, July in Victoria. So knowing when the best time to put the property on the market, knowing that if you were to repaint or recarpet or clean the garden up, you might be getting $15 to $20 a week more in rent. Knowing those small things, the value add, like we said, Darren, it's not a point of difference, it's a point of influence. And when they see that you're taking control, the market, how it relates to their property and how they're going to get the best outcome, the fastest vacancy period, you've got them. They trust you.
Yeah, correct. It's all about trust, isn't it? If they think you're the expert, they will come to you. And they won't go, if they know you're the actual expert in their mind, but they know someone else that's not as good as you, and they're not going to go to that person. They're going to go to who they think does it the best because they want the fastest relief from the anxiety and the fastest shot of peace of mind. So they can go back and relieve that problem and get it on with all the other stuff that's going on in their life. So well done. Okay, let's move on. Next one we've got on the list here, Michael, is for property marketing purposes, having a network. Now, how does that work and how can you promote that to impress the owner?
Yeah, one of the things we also notice when we do the calls to other agencies, all they speak about is putting the property online. So they'll give you their reports, they'll give you their fee schedule and everything, and it just has photos and it has the portals that they listed on. One of the difficulties with that is it's a responsive technique where you're waiting for people to engage with you. So what we would do, we would lean on our network of people like relocation agents, corporate HR companies, and we would get the photos, the virtual tours, the videos, and we would then send those properties out to all of our expansive networks to try and get the best possible corporate tenant, find out when people are moving, and letting the HR departments know that if you've got professionals coming into the state, into the area, or if you have people looking to rent, here's some properties, here's some examples. So rather than us waiting for people to come to us, we were aggressive and we went to other people, and we could show prospective owners what we were doing. And again, still, Darren, when we're calling people, absolutely no one has done that. No one has said that they're doing it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think if I was an owner, I had a property I've just purchased. I need to find a tenant quickly, and someone said to me, by the way, if we signed up your property today, tomorrow we'll be letting all of the, the removalist companies, this, that, and in most cases, we're able to rent the property 2 times quicker or 3 times quicker because of X, Y, and Z. Getting back to those proof statements, I'm thinking you've got them because now your favorite, your top of mind, they want to use you, and your fee is now relegated to secondary importance because they just want you. So well done. Okay, well, let's just moving on. Let's talk about using leasing technology and tie it in to the owner wanting the best rent with the best tenant in the quickest possible time. How can leasing technology do that? And what sort of leasing technology are we talking about? What's available there that we can use to impress?
Yeah, and hasn't it come a long way in such a short period of time? We were using virtual reality for a long time, videos also. What we were able to do was to use the leasing technology available to us by having videos, virtual tours, and when a tenant gave notice today that they're going to vacate, we knew that we could have the property up online and visible to everyone out there day one. Whereas people that aren't prepared and don't have that type of technology or didn't have that type of technology had to wait for the period until a tenant would allow you to have an open for inspection. Also, you couldn't access the property as frequently as you would like. So by us using the technology we had, we were able to make sure the property was available 24/7, 365 days a year, if that's what was needed. But we could show property at all time. The benefit there is, for example, we would use QR codes on our for lease boards. Someone could be walking by a property, scan the QR code, up comes the virtual tour. They like the virtual tour. They could click on the apply now button. They apply. I wake up in the morning. Our team processes the application. On the Monday, we know if we're going to have a tenant moving into the property. One of the other benefits of using technology like that is when you can advertise a property from day one and have it visible and have people to be able to view it, you can put the rent on slightly higher because that's when you're going to get more eyeballs on your property than ever before because it's fresh, it's at the top of the list. So we found that by us putting it on virtual and video, having it available, we could get it out to more people, and also those that were time poor, who couldn't make the open for inspections that most agents set that suit their time and their appointments. We were able to make sure that, all those doctors and lawyers and accountants and people that couldn't make it to a typical open for inspection, they got to see it. We went down from 8 inspections per property to 1 inspection per property. So time efficiencies on the road meant that we could spend more time processing applications, dealing with people, being customer service orientated. Again, people are starting to use videos now, Darren, and they're starting to use virtual reality. They're not using it that well. Right?
But at least they're doing something now, whereas many years we've trained and hardly anyone was doing anything, and now they are. But as you said, they've still got a lot more to go.
Correct. And now, I mean, still, I say now, augmented reality. So this is something else that we were using, which is where it was an objection. So Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, your property's vacant at the moment. We have some photos. We've done a virtual tour. People, if they liked it, they could come or they could ask questions. We could stage the property while we were there in front of people, showing them where their bed would go, their couch would go, their fridge would go, their TV would go. So again, it was overcoming objections, which meant that we could lease the property faster with a higher rent and a more satisfied landlord.
So I think for the people watching this augmented reality, the best way to describe it would be a little bit like Pokemon Go, where you're using a device, showing an image or a video of the background, and then you can imprint images into that so you can actually see how things fit. So that's what augmented reality. And so we took the 360-degree camera tours. Michael, how effective are they?
Oh, very effective. Again, people see everything, warts and all. I was actually talking to someone last night and they said, I don't want to do a virtual tour because I want to get as many people to the property as possible. And I said, well, wouldn't you want like the most qualified person to the property rather than getting 20 people there that are unqualified? And when they get there, say they don't like, they thought it was a bit bigger. Having a virtual tour means that they can see the size of the rooms. They can see the light that comes into the room. They can see every single wall. Whereas if you take like 6 to 10 photos, they're limited to just those still photos that you've got. So we made sure that we showed our tenants everything, the backyard, front yard, side, balcony, before they even walked in the front door.
Rapid qualification. I think that's awesome. And so for yourself, I mean, when we're doing training, we announced Michael Sands as the guy that had 650 properties in Melbourne spread across 84 suburbs, which is massive. And in a 2-year period, you had a 0 vacancy rate. Now, that's a massive statement, which you said you could prove, and that was your proof statement. When you use that, because of all of this leasing technology, none of this leasing technology means anything unless you can influence the owner to use you and not your competitor. That's what this training is all about. When you use that proof statement to owners, how often did you influence the business to you?
More often than not. I think at one point we were 149 out of 150 on board. And the one we didn't get was because she wanted to go with an agency that was inside of a shopping mall, where all the foot traffic was. There was a Woolworths supermarket there, and that's what they wanted.
So all of this leasing technology simply allowed you to say, we have a 0 vacancy rate over 650 properties over a 2-year period, bang. And that is impressive, unbeatable, especially when an owner wants the best tenant, best rent in the quickest possible time. So that's an amazing point of influence, point of difference. Well done. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about fee packages. And I think without making this thing complicated, there's different schools of thought out there, but obviously every agency that we've come across basically has a traditional package, which is a management fee. And a lot more people we're seeing a lot more people doing fixed rates per month, but of course, most are still doing the percentage-based management fee, which is off the total rent. Then there's usually a leasing fee and other add-on fees. So that's a traditional fee structure that we see that just works in the real estate kingdom on the planet. But also, we are now seeing and promoting that having a point of difference where you can give people a choice. Now, when I went to my agent, Michael, with my 2 rental properties, he was one of the most expensive agents here in Adelaide. Why? Because he'd trained many years from me, and he had lots and lots of add-ons. And I just simply sat in front of him. I said, here's a calculator. I don't want to pay all these pluses. Can you just give me a one fee does all? What's an all-inclusive percentage that you can charge me and I don't want to see any other fee. And that's what I wanted. So, and he did, he came up with it, and I've been paying that for a number of years. Whatever my rent is, I know exactly what my fee is going to be. It's completely and totally simple to understand, and I've got predictability of budget. So providing someone a choice of a traditional fee structure, or they can have a one management fee does all, or it could be a management, one big percentage plus a leasing fee as well, or also having a marketing fee. It really comes down to when you want that one all-inclusive fee or a hybrid of that or whatever, but giving people a choice is really, really important. And you'll find that people will like one or the other. They'll either like one or the other. And we, at one stage working in a rent roll, we were signing up 70% of owners at 16.5%.
Wow.
When the base management fee in that city, that region, was 8% plus GST, 8.8%. So, and we were having just about everybody, most people signing up at the 16.5% because they could see, and we showed what all of those other fees add up to a percentage, and in a typical year could push it well over 16.5% and even blow it out the water if we ended up with 2 tenants in a year. So that's how we sold it. And the choice was a point of difference against the other agents down the road that only had one traditional fee structure, one size fits all.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting models that people have out there at the moment, definitely from all the secret shopping calling we've been doing. Some are overkill.
Yep.
Simplify it.
Yeah, simply keep it simplified. One thing we need to understand, if anything's complicated, people automatically default to a no. It's an automatic no. If anything's complicated, they don't understand it. So always keep that in mind. I think also the school of thought out there, Michael, we see people with 3 fee packages, and then you find people generally drift to the middle. 80% of people go to the middle, but I like the 2 traditional fee structure and the all-inclusive 1 management fee does all. So let's just do a rehash before we get to the last 2 here, Michael. So we've talked about proof statements. We've talked about finding the need and the connection. We've talked about videos. We've talked about the handbooks. We've talked about having knowledge in the market to impress. We talked about having a property marketing network of people that we can impress with. We've talked about leasing technology. And we've just talked about fee packages. So that was number 8. Number 9, the pre-listing email. Tell us about that, Michael, and why is that effective in getting us in the pole position to win the business?
Isn't this hot at the moment? I mean, the pre-listing email is golden. We think it's so important that if a prospect is calling your office, whether you're not available or you are available, the first thing they get is a copy of the pre-listing email. The pre-listing email means that they've got something from you. And we all know when we're shopping, when we're doing things and we're calling around or shopping, we want to buy something now. We want to get information now. When you go to Google and you type in a question, Google doesn't come back saying, please wait, we'll come back in a day and give you an update once we have information. Google give you the value and the information immediately. So why would anyone calling your office expect anything different? So the pre-listing email has things in there like how you market property, some of your proof statement stats in there. You have in there some of the videos that you do, basically everything that we've been covering today. Some of the videos that you do about renting out property, educational videos. We put in our pre-listing email, the content pages of the hand guides in there, so people knew what to expect. We also had market report information in there too, so people could get an understanding of what the market was happening right now. Then at least they had something from us right away. Now, reception can do it. Your VA can do it. You can do it. Someone who answers the phone can send that out right away. Even on your website, you could even have an autoresponder with an updated one that goes out. But we do encourage you to have personalized pre-listing emails. So rather than saying Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, actually saying, hi, Darren, thanks for your inquiry. Please see attach the information that we'll discuss when we have a chat when I call you back in about an hour or whatever that is. The pre-listing email, a lot of people are not doing this. If you start doing it, you'll be in front of a lot more people and you're giving them something. Again, it's important to give them something.
Yeah, well done. And I know with our secret shopper, we didn't see a lot of impressive pre-listing emails that come out. So, again, something as simple as that is going to put you right on the front line, particularly when your competitors are likely not doing anything like that at all. In fact, the sad truth is with our secret shopping, there's so many agents that don't even get back to people at all after they've said they're going to email something. So that is the awful truth, and take advantage of it, people. Okay. So one more thing we've just done for people out there, we've just released a new podcast series called the BDM Coach podcast show. So you just go to Spotify, iTunes podcast, or Podbean, look up BDM Coach podcast show, or BDM Coach, you'll find it there. Episode 1 is a very in-depth training session on the pre-listing email, Michael. So well done on that. Now let's just go to point of influence number 10, which is the SMS text video. So Michael, how does this work? How does this get us the favorite in front to the property owner that they want to use us? And I know this one is an absolute cracker.
It's humanizing who you are. It's getting yourself in front of that client before anybody else does. Be that, if you can't get in front of them, especially with COVID, but when you can't physically be there, the video text message is great. As an example, we had an inquiry come through on a Friday afternoon, and I missed that when it came through. As soon as I saw it, I sent a video text message straight away to the prospect saying, hey, it's Michael. Thank you so much for your call. It's on your email. Please see attached to the text message a copy of the market report. Once you had a look at this, please let me know, and we'll have a chat on Monday. When I woke up Monday morning, I actually had an email back from that owner with property photos that they had taken professionally beforehand, all the information about the property, and basically an approval to go ahead. I had not even spoken to the owner at this point, but because they made a call, they made an inquiry, I got onto them. I sent them a video text message. They also bear in mind, over 93% of text messages are checked within 3 seconds. Okay, if you go to send someone an email, there's a 20% chance they'll open it. Maybe because there's so much, there's so many emails that they're getting every single day. So a text message will cut through all the noise. A text message will allow you to say your piece short, succinctly, directly to the owner, and they will listen and they will get it. When you call them and you speak to them again, they know who you are, they know what you look like, and they know where you're coming from. So important with video text message. Darren, unfortunately, a lot of people still don't do the video text message because they're scared of getting in front of a camera. But those who do have great success. Another example, Dennis and I were training in office this year. An inquiry came through. The inquiry even said that they're calling a few of the local agencies. They were, thanking them for the call. The agent we were training hung up the phone from that person. Dennis and I said, send them a video text message, say ABC, and introduce yourself. So they did a video text message. They sent it. Within 20 minutes, that person rang back and said, you're my agent. I don't need to call anybody else out there. You've gone above and beyond. I love what you said in the message. You engaged, you connected. And that person, that prospect also came into the office within the next hour, hour and a half. So that was a clear... It
was while you were still training, the person came into the office.
While we were there.
Absolute proof. So, and I've got stories myself of even for myself or other agents that have done it that have owners call up, I just want to know your fees, and they sent them a video text message introducing themselves, and suddenly the owner calls up, hey, I want to use you, and next day they're signing them up. So you're right. There's so many agents out there that are too scared about to use a video, which means this point of difference is going to be safe with you for a very, very long time. Now, Michael, what can people do if they, we know it's easy on an iPhone using iMessage to another iPhone, but let's say the owner has an Android, or you have an Android. What's a way to get the video message through under those circumstances?
Yeah, so the simplest way is, if you've got an Android, is go to the Apple store at one of your local Westfields and purchase an iPhone, and then send the message on the iPhone. No, we're just joking. If you have an Android, the best thing that we did was we saved the phone number, and then we would go to WhatsApp, and typically they have WhatsApp because people have on average 3 different chat platforms on their phone. And when we saw them on WhatsApp, we would then send them that video message on WhatsApp. Now, what we also did was send them a text message in addition to that. So, hey, Darren, Michael, Niche Property, letting you know I've just sent you a video to WhatsApp.
WhatsApp,
okay?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it may not ping them that you've sent it if you're not an initial connection.
Yeah, yeah. But the solution is go and buy an iPhone. So make things so much easier. But well done. So just as a summary here, people, so 10 points of influence and difference. We've got proof statements, connecting, finding the needs, systematic videos or a video series, the handbooks, the knowledge of the marketplace, networking and using that for leverage with your property marketing. We're talking about using leasing technology to find the best tenant, best rent, quickest possible time. We talked about the fee packages and offering a choice as a point of difference. Using the pre-listing email to impress, but also the SMS video text to humanize who we are very, very quickly. All of these things here are pushing you very quickly to front of mind, to the front of the line, to pole position, and making you the favorite when it comes to signing the business, particularly when you're competing against other agents. And this is not a warm lead, particularly around being a cold lead. This is going to get you warm really, really quick. So Michael, some really good training there. Thank you for your time. There's some really good points of difference and points of influence that's going to help a lot of people should they implement to win that business a lot better. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. Bye.